I am Don. Nice beautiful day here today. No wind. It's just a little bit above freezing. It was -6 this morning. Still frost around, but right now it just seems nice. Middle of the afternoon. I've done a couple of, at least I've done 2 videos for beginners on how to use a chainsaw, and I got pretty good, a lot better than I thought, reception from those. And I did get a comment from one viewer who asked me if I could do a third one about how to start a chainsaw, particularly when it's hot or when it's cold. And in relation to that, it's not with the weather as I've described, but when the chainsaw is hot or cold, the engine is. And may have a little bit of bearing on the weather, but I thought I'd do that today since it was perfect. And there's one windfall down on the path down below that I'm going to try and do. Just as a side, since I'm here, mention that I've put the chains on the tractor. It's just a little after Christmas, between Christmas and New Year's. I did that on Boxing Day. We had record-breaking temperatures, 10 degrees Celsius, 10, 11 degrees, and it's all ready. The box grader's on, and so I'm just going to try out the chains. I put them on, but I haven't made sure that they're really tight, so give me a chance to drive a couple hundred feet with them anyway to see if they're okay. And plus, I got a brand new toy here for Christmas as well. I got a brand new camera. So if anyone notices the quality of my cinematography is a little bit better. So I got my hard hat on, got my chaps on, got some gloves with good grips, and I'm all set. I hope. And there's the windfall that I'm going to cut down over here. But the purpose today video is, as I just mentioned, someone was asked, is how to start for beginners, how to start a chainsaw, both when the saw is warm and cold. As I mentioned, 2 points of contact. Your hand on the bar, and your foot on this handle plate. That way when you pull the cord, you've got full control. The other way that I like, which provides 2 levels of contact, is I lock the saw between my legs, my knees. Come back a little further. It's actually locked underneath this leg. This leg is over the handle. The other one is holding down here. So when I pull the handle, I've got 2 points of contact to prevent it from moving. That's the safety part. On the saw, for starting, 2 things, 3 parts. You've got your pull cord, of course. You've got your choke, which is your start and your stop. And there is a little bulb, if you will. Some call it air release. When the saw is cold, give that about 5 pumps, just in quick pumps like that. It'll help remove any air that's in the carburetor ignition system. This button knob here, pull it out towards the handle and straight up. That will engage the choke. Again, you can push it down. Again, to repeat, if you can see that, pull it out and up. To turn the saw off, which is good to know before you start it, is you push that all the way down, and that will stop the saw immediately. It should, if it's working properly. Good to know how to stop it before you've known how to start. So let's just see. I've got fresh gas, fresh chainmail oil in there. When it first starts, it'll be revving up quite high. I like to get it warmed up a little bit at a full throttle. Again, pulling out that knob up, straight up, locking, 2-point position. After a couple of seconds, just touch the throttle. This is the throttle. Just touch that. That will disengage the choke, bring it down. One of the things you'll notice that after I had that first rev, I pulled it started and then stopped. I then pushed down the choke and pulled it, and that's really something else to do. It's ready to start usually. That's just to repeat that. Pull out, push it up. This is when the saw is cold. And push down on that to turn it off. The main difference when the saw is warm, you don't need to pull this up. You should be able to start that right away from that point there. See if it is warm enough for that. Okay, let's cut a few pieces off this small little windfall over here. So just to repeat, after cutting that, just a couple of little cuts, it's enough that the saw is warmed up. And it's been just a couple of minutes since I turned it off, but it's still nice and warm. So when it's warm, in my opinion, I've never had to, you don't have to press the air purge valve or the little pump on the side. I rarely, once it's warm, have to put the choke all the way up. Usually you can just leave it where it is at this point. Remember to hold the saw from 2 contact points. The handle, lock on your knee or put it on the ground and lock your foot in the handle. And it should start. Press down to turn it off. It's funny. I go on and I talk about this is for very beginners. You can almost say someone who has no experience in this whatsoever in the past. It's when I first started using this saw in particular, it's not my first saw. I don't know why I did this. Maybe I was doing it before. But every time I would start it, even when it was warm, I was putting the choke up and then pulling on it, and it would take longer to pull. Even though the saw was warm. My brother-in-law, who's been using a saw for 40 years, said, "What in the dickens are you doing?" And I realized you don't have to do that. Because I thought, when you push this down to turn it off, what this does is, I believe, is cuts the power off to the spark plug, grounds it out. I thought when it's down, it wouldn't start. But it will, because it's not engaged at that point. You still have to push that lever down further in order to stop the saw. So you don't have to do anything at that point once the saw is nice and warm. Anyway, this is Don. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. Appreciate any comments. Take care. it.